It's tent review time. Hey folks, welcome to another video. My name is Abbie and this is Spend More Time in the Wild, a channel, a platform, a community entirely dedicated to inspiring and empowering people to get outside for the benefit of mental and physical health. Now I am here today with another tent review, or at least first impressions review, and it's of the biggest tent I have thus far looked at on my channel. It's a 3-person backpacking tent, said to be lightweight, although I find that a very controversial statement, and it's by Nemo. It's the Dagger Osmo. Hey! So this is a very exciting tent for me to be reviewing because it's a freestanding tent. It's 3-person, as I've mentioned, so it has a whole host of different uses for all sorts of different adventures, quite frankly. They call it a backpacking tent, but I just find, well, it's a tent. You do what you want with it, folks. If there's rules, you break them. Take it bikepacking, take it on canoe trips, do what you want, have fun, have adventures, leave no trace, bish bash bosh. Anyway, today what I'm going to do is break down these features. My goal here is to translate what you're reading online about the tent into an actual visual, slightly more tactile experience. You know, you get all these trademarks, you get all these fancy pantsy terms, you kind of go, what you're talking about by, let's just give it a go. And what I want to do is basically show you what all these fancy pantsy terms are and how that translates into an actual product, and then how that potentially can translate on your adventures to making your life more comfortable or not. That's the plan anyway. So, talking about buying this tent, I looked up this morning the price of this tent and it cost £590. Now Nemo is an international brand, you can buy it all over the world, so that is going to obviously vary depending on where you are. I'm also a massive fan of buying second hand, and that's obviously going to reduce the price again if you're able to get your hands on one second hand. Next, weight. The weight of this tent varies because it's completely customizable. So pretty much the lightest you can get it is 1.6 kilograms, and then with the full shebang is about 2.1 kilograms, which if split between 2 or 3 people is actually really quite fair. If you think about it, 1 kilogram's a litre of water, like 3 kilograms, 3 litres of water. That's a lot of water, but this is your shelter. So I actually find that really acceptable. It's not even 3 litres, is it? It's 2 litres. Maths is not my strong point. But anyway, so you can change out the pegs, you can keep the guy lines or not, you can put the outer on or not, you can put the footprint underneath or not. Completely customizable based upon where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing. So without further ado, let's get this thing opened up and we can explore some of the fabric and bits and bobs that you get in this stuff sack. Ugh. Right then, here we go folks. Stuff sack, let's start with that. I love a good stuff sack, don't you? I don't actually know if this is a dry bag performance, but based upon the dew on the ground beading off this stuff sack, it sounds promising, or it looks promising rather. So this is the bag that essentially you'll get off the shelf or delivered to your door by the mail person if you order this tent. So it's got the branding on the front, branding on the bottom. Also on the bottom is a carry handle so you can yank it out of your rucksack ready to set up camp at the end of the day. It has a roll top closure, which I always find really helpful actually, and it has a little carrier thing, what's it called? Toggle, I don't know what that is, which you can hook it in your garage and stare it in, ready for your next adventure to manifest itself. That is essentially the bag. So let's get into this this bag and get some stuff out. So we're gonna casually roll this away, make sure it doesn't blow away. And this, look at that, man. This is the tent. This is exciting. Okie dokie. So we've looked at the stuff sack. This is what you get in the stuff sack as it came out of the stuff sack. So we have initially this really small piece of fabric that could act as a cape, but not all superheroes wear capes. But truthfully, this is actually the landing zone. So I love that name because it sort of implies you have to be a drone operator in order to use it, but you don't. It is a a very small footprint that you sort of put in the porch area, we'll see of this later, to help protect your gear from the moisture underneath, depending on where you're pitching, or hard rocks or whatever it is. We have pegs, we have poles, and we have the inner and the outer as well, and this is the stuff sack here. So it seems like a fair amount of stuff, and obviously it is a 3-person tent, so that's probably why I'm just having this first impression, because I feel like my tent, when I like chuck it out, is probably like it's like this. But that is a 1-person tent. So what I'm going to do is discuss each different component here, and then we'll get the tent up and we'll gradually evolve the conversation from there. So actually, this bag is the most eye-catching of all, so I want to start with the poles. So this is really nice feeling fabric bag that you're given, and it says Polybag 100k elimination project. 0 litres of water used for dyeing, 100% Reprieve recycled polyester, and 1.6 bottles used to create each bag. And then it reads, as founding members of the OA Climate Action Corps, Nemo Equipment and the Dungan, if I said that right, Aluminium Company, or DAC, which I'm more familiar with, are committed to collaborating to reduce climate impacts. And basically it goes on talking about their project, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. And quite frankly, this should not be rare and new and exciting. This should be completely standard. I think as users of the outdoors, and enthusiasts of the outdoors, we should definitely be leading the way when it comes to conservation and environmental protection and minimising our impact through the gear that we're using as well. So I love that. That's super, super great. And basically, there's no plastic. Well, there is plastic bottles, or at least bottles. Is it plastic? Polyester. Anyway, in here we have poles. So let's get these out. So these are DAC Featherlight poles, which is really quite standard for backpacking tents. Basically, they're nice and light. They've got some good give and flexibility for when you're in those high wind situations. That's quite a massive polage, which I'm not going to try and untangle right now, but they're color coded. You have this beautiful lime green, which I actually really like, and then you have the grey, and we'll see how all of that plays out when it comes to pitching the tent in a little bit. So essentially, that's the poles, that's the information bag. We'll pop that over there. Pop. Done. Or it's probably also worth me mentioning, it's 1.6, 9 and 8.5 millimeter poles for those of you who get sort of really excited about pole size. Yeah, they weigh in total 560 grams. So they are actually almost a third, if I did the maths right. They are a considerable amount of the total weight of this tent, but it is a freestanding tent, so there is a lot of polage to hold the fabric out to give you all of the space that you've got for the 3 of you mooching about inside of your tent. Pegs, let's do it. This is the peg bag. It's just a peg bag. There's nothing very exciting. It's a draw cord, works great. Let's have a look in here. So that's loud. As supplied off the shelf, the guy lines do not come attached, so you have a whole bunch of grey guy lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, which you can put on the tent if you choose. You have a pole repair sleeve, or splint as they call it, quite like that actually, splint, it is a splint, isn't it? Which actually I'm going to shift back to the pole section, and then you have the pegs that they supply. So these are Nemo specific pegs. They are sort of triangular in shape, which is really, really great because it means you've got a nice big amount of surface area when you're jamming that thing in the ground at 45-degree angles or so. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pegs in total for the tent, and we will have a look at the different pegging out options once the tent is up, because obviously being a freestanding tent, if you know you're in a very stable environment, technically you don't even need pegs. You know, the pegs are not involved in the structure of this tent. It's just for staying on terra firma, essentially. So yeah, 10 different pegs. In total, these weigh 167 grams. And the only other thing I can really say about these pegs is, you know, I've used these triangular pegs a lot, and they have proven very, very successful and durable. And I like these ones because they have this notch built into them, which, you know, sometimes you pop your peg into the ground and you've got quite soft ground, and the guy line just pops over the top, and it's like, oh, well, that sort of defeats the object. So you have to take it out, try again. These ones have this like built-in catch system, which is really quite nice, because you're losing probably like tiny little bit of weight, but also it's like the guy line can't come off if you put it in the right direction. So I really like that feature, actually. So they're well thought through pegs, and you can tell that these materials have been tried and tested by folks who backpack themselves. You know, every now and then you pick up a tent and you go, well, this doesn't make sense. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I like it. Who knew I could get so excited about pegs? That's curious. There's not a lot to say about the guy lines, truthfully. They are guy lines, and they hopefully will hold your tent down in the need of a time of wind. That was good English, wasn't it? Okay, so now let's look at the actual fabric that makes up this tent. So this is partly where the tent gets its name from, the Dagger Osmo. So Osmo is a Nemo specific brand, basically to do with the fabric of the tent itself. So this is made out of 100% recycled polyester. I'm just going to say that again, 100% recycled polyester. Absolutely fantastic. It's music to my ears. I'm in love with my own voice. It's fantastic. Anything that's 100% recycled deserves a big thumbs up, slap on the back, and an alcohol-free beer at the next place of your choice. But anyway, what's really, really cool about this is it's ripstop nylon, which you would expect. So basically it's sort of much more resilient to abrasion, so rocks and twigs and sharp things. Hopefully it won't rip. That's hence the name, ripstop. And it's nice and lightweight, and basically what they've done with this Osmo fabric is it's got a lot more stretch, a lot more give when it comes to exposure to water. So anything when it gets wet, the tiny fat fibers which you can't see that make up the fabric, they stretch, and in some tents that compromises the waterproofing abilities of a tent. So with this fabric, they say it will last 4 times longer in terms of the water repellency, and it has 3 times less stretch when wet, which is good. Less is good. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is it's PFC, PFAS free yarns, and they are also free of fire retardant chemicals as well. Which is just all completely fantastic. I mean, I feel like the next level is that this could be compostable, but that's a work in progress. And probably wouldn't work in a tent. I don't know, someone might come up with that. But essentially that's the canopy, so you've got the branding on it. We'll see all of this once the tent is up. So that's that. Canopy is the outer, by the way. That's our landing zone, and then this is the tent itself. And I do say tent itself, actually, I suppose unintentionally but intentionally, because this is a freestanding tent and it's an inner first tent. So as you'll see, you can literally just pitch this inner part and call it a day if you want to. So the bottom is attached to this no-seam mesh. So the bottom fabric is made out of the same fabric as the outer, and then the mesh itself is also nylon ripstop fabric as well. And then the bottom and the fly sheet together both have a 2000mm hydrostatic head. I'm pretty sure it's hydrostatic head. And that's essentially all you need to know about that. So if we just break that down into simple human language, it's quite environmentally conscious. It's less likely to rip or snag if you're on hard rocky ground. It's really nice and light and waterproof, hopefully. And the mesh should keep the insects out. So there you go, that's all of that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this tent up, just the inner first of all, and then we'll break down the different features of that, put the outer on top, or the canopy, and we'll just continue to go from there. So we have 2 doors on this tent, so when you're pitching it, I mean, it's movable because it's freestanding, but also if you end up facing the wrong way, you just open the other door. Miracles are possible, people. We have this great mass of foliage, which can definitely seem very overwhelming, but I think once you've done things once, you will feel much more comfortable, but also it's very intuitive. Everything just slots into place with very little qualm, and I can instantly see the way this is working, which is cool. Just a little tangled up, that's all. So what we've got is sort of a frame on that end, if that makes sense. We've got the central pole, which is almost like the bit that holds up the headspace, and then we have the frame on this end. Does that make sense? So that's what we're working with. So it's going to be one end, two end, center. So now I need to actually do that. Oh my gosh, that is seamless. So the bottom of the poles has this little like ball head, and then it clips. It clips. That is, wow, I have never experienced that before. And it clips into place, and then it's like held in place. And then we just, that is beautiful. And then it's doing on this side, and then it's like clip. Oh my flipping life. This is amazing. And then we have the usual like clip system of freestanding tents, and I usually just do a couple of those to pull the fabric to the pole. Oh my gosh, so usually when I'm doing freestanding tents, I sort of do the two sides first, and then I do the middle, because what we'll do is then we've sort of got the size of the tents all scoped out. Oh, I get to do it again, look, ready? Clip. Oh, I love it. And you can really see the tent starting to take shape now. And we'll pull these sides in. So the last thing we have is this helicopter piece. This is how you fly. No, it's really not. So this is like I said, this is sort of what creates the headspace of the tent, because you can see right now it's all saggy in the middle. So I'm just going to take the clips, go on, and then there's another little bit on the end, clips in place there, and last one. Oh my gosh, this is so well thought through. I love it so much. And then it's like you pull it up, it's just like boom, boom. People, we have a tent. And you know what, if that was all you wanted to do, absolutely fine. It's a freestanding tent. You can use the outer by itself. You don't need any of the other features if you don't want to. This is it. Heaven, paradise, Nevada. You've made it. I'm getting rather excited about this tent. I didn't expect this, but it seems to be happening. It's going on YouTube. Right, so let's have a closer look at some of the things. People. Legs in pocket. Let's go. So of course this is the tent at its most basic, but what I just wanted to do was show you some of these things. So the way, as with most freestanding tents, the fabric clips onto the pole is you have these little clips here, which are all clippery, and you just go clip, just like that. Let me do that again, because I really need to help you understand this. It's so simple. Clip, and you go clip, just like that. Beautiful. Right, and then we'll come down over here, and this is what I've been getting really, really excited about with this tent. So this is sort of the ball joint shoulder thing for the tent. It's blowing away. I'm literally like holding it now. So the bottom of the peg has this little ball, and it just literally clips into the plastic piece. It's just so phenomenally straightforward. I absolutely love this so much, and it's just glove compatible. It's like bum 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 bum. So when you've got really cold hands, it makes this tent really easy. Now this is a three season tent, but you know, you can push the limits, and hey, in spring and autumn, you never know if snow's coming away anyway, do you? So This is the canopy pole I mentioned. You can really see how it's pulling out the top part of this tent. I mean, I've got the wind bashing against this side right now, so it's not great example of like the pulling out of the bottom. We'll look at that in a minute. But this is really holding out the top piece of fabric, which is what creates this immense amount of headspace, like just sitting in there like, yep, life's good right now, you know. So again, you've got the clips to clip it on, and then you've got the ball joint thing here. You can see you literally just grab it, just like click, done. Then on each of the bottom of the corners, there's a label on this one. Oh yeah, they call it Jake's foot, which is, I don't know who Jake is, but that's cool, don't worry about it. Anyway, at the bottom of each corner, there's a pegging out point, so you can pull it nice and tight, and really just maximize the shape and size of this 3-person tent. And yeah, basically, I think that's that for now. I mean, you can obviously see the no-seer mesh, which is really, really great. So you can see that there's the 2 doors on either side. We're going to talk about all of this a little bit more later. So 1 door, 2 doors. And yeah, that was too simple, almost. Like, how is it so simple? Okay, so this is me now putting on the outer. And what you can see straight away is we've not got a very strong wind here, but putting the outer on can always be quite difficult in adverse conditions. This is a 3-person tent, 3-season tent, as I just mentioned. And, you know, within sort of the shoulder seasons, you can almost expect any weather, at least in the temperate climates that I'm usually in. So the bottom, or just the inner rather, is obviously not waterproof. Like, water's going to get through that mesh, obviously. And therefore the outer is needed. And this is, for me, is one of the things that I find quite difficult about inner pitch first tents, is when you're pitching in the rain very quickly can drench absolutely everything. Whereas an outer pitch first, or a dual pitch, by very simply putting the outer up, you then have a shelter to be inside as you put the inner in that, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's just a little thought there. Anyway, let me get this attached and we will carry on the conversation. It's quite a big tent, isn't it? I'll tell you something, folks. I would like to know why all tents don't have some of the features that this tent has when it comes to putting up. It is so easy. There's endless possibilities for getting this tent a lot tighter than I have it. I've literally used 4 pegs and no guy lines. So you've got the 4 guy line tying out points on each corner. That's these little yellow bits here. You sort of thread it through and then it pulls it out even more to increase the volume, maximize the space in the tent for 3 of you potentially using this tent. But I'm trying to just show you it almost in its simplest form. Just like boom, 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 done. And this is a first impressions review anyway. No, I think it's really, really, it's a cool shape. And, you know, quite often when I'm pitching my tent, I'm always thinking about, like, where's the wind and how do I pitch so that the wind's funneling through rather than against the big bulk of fabric. And this is just ultimately one big bulk of fabric. The wind is going to slap against it if you're in quite an exposed region. But you've got those DCA Featherlight poles, excuse me, which are going to have a lot of flex and give and just aid the, again, comfort and durability of this tent in more adverse weather conditions. So you can see one of the doors here. That's what I'm sort of sat in front of. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. It's a nice yellow zip. And we have, if I just flip around, this sort of rain guard here, which is covering over the zip itself, so you can not get the rain in. And what's also quite nice, actually, if I just do this back up, a little bit fiddly, there's another zip. No, there is. I thought there was. Yeah, you can unzip it from the top down to aid ventilation, which is always really important. Oh, here comes the sun. Which is always really important to reduce condensation. Ventilation is your friend. So usually I will always unzip from the top down my door, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. And then we have a very easy clip system. Boom, boom. Done. This is one of those things where it's like, Nemo, you genius. Like, you know how fiddly door toggles can be, and when you've got gloves, it's just like, and you've got numb fingers, and it's like, and I can't do the door, and it pops back out, and it's really annoying. So this is what they call their gatekeeper door clip. And it is just so simple. Like, you just have a toggle, like you always have, and you have the hook, and you just hook it, and you can pull it tighter if you want to, but it's just like, whoa. The only thing I have to hesitate and ask is, would it give in the wind? But all the wind is going to do is that, and it's not giving. Genius. And then we have the porch. So let me just move the camera around a little bit and we can look at the porch. Welcome to my tent. Please take your shoes off on the way in. Welcome to the porch. This is great. There's so much space here. You know, when it comes to backpacking, or at least adventures, I find that for me, I like to keep my stuff outside of my tent, especially when it rains. And having a good porch is great for that, because it means you have more space inside, and the stuff that you can keep outside, you can do so to maximize space. So as you can see, I can sit up nice and easily here, which is really, really great. We'll look at the inside in a minute. But I've put this landing zone into the porch. Now the landing zone it has 3 sort of hooks on each corner, and they're color coded, so it's really easy to know like what clips into where. Oops, I've just pulled that out. That being said, where the hooks hook onto is not intuitive, actually. So you've got red, black and yellow, and what it does is it sort of gives you this half division of your porch space, so you can put your kit on it and keep it off the ground. Now I can kind of see why they've done this. I would call this a luxury, an accessory. I wouldn't bring this. I don't feel like I need this. When I am in wet conditions, I just use my waterproof cover of my rucksack and I put everything on that, just to keep it off the ground. And that's kind of what this is. It's just a waterproof cover to protect your gear. But if you're a bit persnickety, then that works absolutely fine. It's a really nice, simple system. So that's your landing zone. And then otherwise, there's so much space to sort of cook in here and do all the things you do in a tent porch. So I'm just gonna loop around, and it's quite hard for me to show you, but this is one of the doors here, and it's very easy to open up. You've got a half zip on the top and almost a full zip on one side. Let me just roll that away. Oops, see, there we go. It's already getting in the way, this landing zone, so I'm just going to actually unclip that and go away. Don't need you. That's something I don't love. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Right, rolly. Get the door out the way. So as we saw earlier, the door is mesh, just like the whole of the tent is mesh. And here we go. We're in. Hey. That's quite nice. I thought I would swap to my GoPro so you can really come into the tent with me and see all the different features that we've got going on here. So what I've done is I've opened up the other door just slightly. It's like a portal, but what you can see straight away now that we're in here is there's these toggles. And you go, why are there those toggles? There's one on either side. And then it's like, of course. So this piece of fabric and this piece of fabric rolls up to completely open that entire side of the tent. So then you can have this section open, right? Bear with me here. Open. And you can open this section, open, and then you can open this, and you can just enjoy the view. Easy peasy. So you can do that on both sides. So coming around, you can do that over here as well. I've got my Freet barefoot boots on here. Great boots, love these boots. Look how good that grip is. Random side note, I know. Anyway, so you can open up this whole section and this whole section. So even if you just need that bit of like protection, you can still really enjoy the view, and I absolutely love that feature. And then this is what it looks like. You can see the mesh, you can see the outer there as well. And we've got these, let's just look at some of the features randomly as they come up then. So starting top down, we have lots of different attachment points here. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 for like a washing line, or for lanterns or anything you want. This one's actually a button clip here, which is really quite nice and handy. And then you've got them going the other way as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can have like a line, you can have a line, and just really make this a home. I absolutely love it. It's so great. And then you've got these nightlight pockets, which are slightly different colour. They really stand out, and they've sort of got this elastic on the top. And what you can do is you can pop your head torch in there, and it just gives this nice glow for the tent. And like, I'm always trying to like hook mine somewhere and make it work, and it's got a designated pocket. It's like, obviously that adds to the weight, but it's great. So that's the nightlight pockets. Coming down, then you've got again the mesh, and this is the bathtub design, folks. Like, that's not a bathtub, I mean, that's a jacuzzi. Like, look at this. So bathtub design is essentially created on a tent so that if you've got any surface water or you're in heavy rain, the water's not going to penetrate into your tent. It's going to be blocked by this bathtub, and you can see it's all the way around. It's extraordinarily high, and that's basically that feature. And then on either side of the tent, if you have designated sides, sorry, the person in the middle, you've got nice little pockets here. There's one on this corner, and then looping around, there's one on that corner next to all of those labels as well. I suppose if you are the person in the middle, you can get the triangle pockets. So there's one pocket here, and then coming around over here, another pocket over there, just all tacked away. It's like you have to almost like know where the secret doors are for all these super cool things. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets. 6 pockets. Like, what do you even put in 6 pockets? I don't know. And then when it comes to headspace, I am 5'7", and I am not even close to the roof here. So that's obviously really great if you have got 3 people in this tent. Just maximising air circulation, minimising condensation with all your breath overnight, in particular if everything's sort of locked up. So I think that's amazing as well. I really like this. It's so airy, it's so spacious, and knowing that you can open up essentially 2 sides of a 4-sided tent is like, huh? That is also amazing. So actually that's what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to open up one of these side walls. You can see what that looks like, and then I'll get some kit in here, and you can basically just see what one person's worth of stuff looks like, and then times that by 3, and you'll see what it's like for 3 people. I do have to admit, I question if that's actually what you're supposed to do, and I don't know if you are, but you can, it's possible. So you're given this toggle, and because there's not the same clip that is for everywhere else, I think that's why I've questioned it, because usually these things are quite standardised, and this is the guy line point. All I did was just tuck it into that. So I don't know if you're actually meant to do that, but I did it, and now we have a whole open door space, which is really cool. So yeah, quite like that. Just gonna tuck that in. So that's that, and I have to admit, not having a peg point here is a bit of a downer, because it's, I mean, you can obviously make sure you've got the whole tent really nice and tight with the guy lines pulling everything out, and that's going to stretch this out a lot more. But the whole point in a freestanding tent is you don't need pegs, but I naturally feel like I want to make this inner floor a lot tighter, not have all this loose fabric. So I'm just chucking those there for now to just hold it out. But a lot of tents have like a piece of elastic, so you can just bum either side and keep that nice and taut, because it sort of defeats the object of having a bathtub if it's flopped against the ground, if that makes any sense. So anyway, that's just one piece of thought whilst I'm here. When it comes to these points on the 4 corners, they have there is the opportunity to sort of pull this tight, so you just yank it up and pull that down essentially, and then that sort of reduces the exposure to the fabrics being stuck together. And then when you have actually got the guy lines on, this is obviously going to pull this out a little bit more as well, and just maximise circulation, because if the 2 pieces of fabric are sort of stuck like this, you're not going to have so much ventilation. So that's really something worth bearing in mind as well. Let's go around the tent, and then let's get some stuff in it. Okay folks, I will admit, this is interesting. One of the things I often find when it comes to tents is they're like, oh, you know, it fits 3 people, and you're like, that's not, no, like three, no, it's too small. And what I've just done here is, well, let me show you. So I have put my wide thermarest down, okay? I haven't blown it up, but this is wider than normal, okay? Because I have a back injury and it really helps and it's great and I like it. So that's that, okay? And you can see there is ample space at the foot end or the head end, or both if you choose. Then I have put down my sleeping bag liner, so you can just roughly see another thing in the tent. Ample space. I've chucked random stuff around so you can just see like the randomness of like camp life. And then I've put my sleeping bag. So that's your third person, right? Over there. And there is so much space. Like, so much space. This is insane. I've chucked my rucksack over there in the porch area. And then we've got this porch area here. So you could have like a shoe side or a cooking side and a storage side. And there is a side for everything. You've also got the footprint. I forgot to mention that. But if you do want a footprint for the entire thing, it's really, really small, really compact. That's essentially what that looks like. I'm not a big footprint user, but I know some people are, so that is available. That's my stove. You're probably going to have a bigger one or a couple of those floating about, and that's just, it looks so small in this vast space. I think, again, my mind is just blown. I really, really, really like this tent. Like, the customizationableness of the different features, I think, are fantastic. It's so well thought through. And I think if you're really using this in the right climate, like, you can't go wrong with this tent. There is space, there is storage, there is porchage, there is waterproofness, there's ethical environmental considerations, not just thrown in as an afterthought, like, it's the focus. I haven't just not really stopped being excited about this tent. And I was just, the only thing that sort of made me go, not sure about that, is the landing zone. But I know some people are really keen on that. I've read a few reviews and people are like, oh, landing zone, great idea. I'm like, cool, glad you like that, not for me, that's fine. But I'm sure I've missed out a couple of features from this tent, but that's okay, I don't mind that. This is a first impressions. This is literally like my first thoughts. So I'm gonna just try and summarize what I've almost just accidentally summarized. So, initial cons, landing zone. Not a fan of that. Potential con, using this in a temperate climate where you're pitching in the rain. This stuff is, I can't show you. This stuff, the mesh, is not going to protect you from the rain. Your things will get wet. That's not ideal. I would say it is a freestanding tent in that the poles hold it out, but having a few pegs with you is really helpful because it sort of pulls everything out a little bit further. At this current state, I don't feel the need for guy lines at all. For me, they'd be more of a reassurance in windier, more harsh conditions. And arguably the weight, but it is a 3-person tent, so that's really an on-the-fence con. Any other cons that I feel? No. Initial pros that I'm thinking of. Pros. Flipping easy to put this thing up. Color-coded, so long as you can see colors, that's really, really easy. The hook systems on everything are really, really easy, and I can't fault that either. Just all the little tiny designs like this rain protection, the nightlight pockets you can see behind me up there, the height of the roofage up here. There's definitely space for 3 people and stuff. Porch size, great. 2 doors, opening the whole thing, whether that's even supposed to be a thing or not, I don't know, but you can do it. And on and on and on it goes. So, like, I like this tent a lot, and I don't need to own a 3-person tent, which is why I'm borrowing this. But I would really, really like to get my hands on the 2-person version of this tent and really see how it holds up on the trail. Generally, I'm not an in a pitch first tent person, so I would like to try that and see how it actually gets on in summer conditions. Just got to try, right? So anyway, that, I think, is a proper high to end this video on, and I do hope this has been helpful for you, sort of looking at what this tent is like, first impressions. What do you think? Let me know below if you use this tent. Let me know below if you use a Nemo tent. Let me know what tent you do use. Let me know what adventures you're on. Start a conversation, keep it positive, keep it supportive, and until we meet on the trail, and until the next video, enjoy your adventures and stay wild. I'll see you soon, folks.